Unveiling the shocking truth. How Colonel Sanders battled darkness to build KFC fame. In the heart of a small Kentucky town, a figure emerged from the swirling mists of history, one that would later be immortalized as the face of fried chicken across America. But what if I told you that behind the crisp, white suit and trademark goatee lay a story tangled with shadows and secrets? The Colonel was not merely a savvy businessman. He was a man who danced with darkness to carve his empire from the very abyss of despair. Strange occurrences surrounded his rise to fame, like whispers of a haunted past. Our journey starts in the dim glow of a roadside diner named Sanders Court Cafe, the birthplace of the legendary original recipe. It was said that the walls of this humble establishment vibrated with echoes of laughter and the clinking of silverware during daylight. Yet, as dusk fell, an eerie silence blanketed the place. Locals claimed they could hear the faint sizzle of frying chicken when the moon was high. Some swore they even saw ghosts gliding through the fog, specters of customers lost to time, forever coming back for one last taste of that elusive secret blend of 11 herbs and spices. As we dive deeper, we learn that Colonel Sanders faced harsh battles. Once, his life crumbled as he lost everything: his restaurant, his home, and his dreams. Standing under the heavy weight of failure, he made a pact of sorts. With each setback, he was drawn deeper into a world filled with desperation and darkness. Was it sheer determination, or was something supernatural propelling him forward? Quickly, things escalated. Whispers emerged that he had tapped into ancient culinary lore long forgotten by the modern world. Every bite of his chicken felt like a spell, binding people to a taste unlike any other. Was it mere flavor, or were the secrets of his recipe intertwined with something extraterrestrial? Hey! Before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon, and while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Caught in a race against time and fate, the Colonel resolved to face the looming shadows that threatened to swallow him whole. As he perfected his recipe, did he unknowingly summon energies beyond comprehension? A mysterious figure started showing up on foggy nights, watching him from a distance, cloaked in darkness. As one odd coincidence after another unfolded, the air thickened with suspense each time a child bit into his chicken. What was the true cost of that succulent flavor? Would it bring him the success he dreamt of, or would it tether him to the unknown forever? With curiosity piqued and mystery thickening like gravy on a hot plate, one thing was clear: the tale of Colonel Sanders had only just begun. What secrets still waited to be uncovered? The air grew thick with anticipation as Colonel Sanders mixed his secret blend of herbs and spices, the whispers of the unseen filling the silence. Shadows flickered across the walls of Sanders Court Cafe, and with every swirl of his mixing spoon, he could feel the weight of eyes upon him. The dark figure lingered just outside, always just out of view, but present enough to cause the hairs on his neck to stand on end each night. When the diner closed its doors and darkness enveloped the empty booths, the temptation of fear crept into his heart. Was it madness, or was he on the brink of something extraordinary? He thought of the fallen dreams, the businesses he failed, the relationships strained under the pressure of pursuit. Each ghostly whisper gnawed at his resolve. His triumph hinged on this recipe that seemed somehow alive, infused with the souls of those who craved it. One particularly foggy night, the atmosphere felt charged, as if the universe itself was holding its breath. The Colonel, driven by a mix of ambition and dread, decided to confront the figure who haunted his nights. Heart thudding, he stepped outside into the night, the cold air wrapping around him like a shroud. He scanned the horizon, searching for signs of the cloaked presence, a cold sweat making the back of his neck prickle. Just then, the shadows shifted. A figure emerged slowly, revealing a frail old man with an unsettlingly familiar expression. His eyes sparkled with a deep, otherworldly knowledge, and a shiver danced down Sanders' spine. "You've summoned that which you cannot control," the old man rasped, his voice like cracked leather. "The recipe? It is not merely a collection of flavors, it is a gateway." "What do you mean?" Colonel Sanders' voice wavered, battling between bravado and fear. "It's just chicken." The old man chuckled darkly. "Ah, but even the simplest things carry weight. You've invited spirits into your kitchen. Through every fryer, their essence lingers, feeding off your ambition." He stepped closer, and the colonel could smell the earthy scent of decay mixed with spice. "You must know, with every success comes a price." A wave of nausea hit Sanders as doubts clouded his mind. Had he not noticed the strange things? More customers were flooding into his diner. Yes, but strange occurrences accompanied their visits: a child laughing uncontrollably, yet solemn, a woman wiping tears as she finished her meal, as if tasting remembrance. Were these signs of the supernatural influence driving his success? Before he could protest, the old man extended his hand, revealing a small vial filled with a dark, swirling liquid. "To bind your fate and theirs, to gain control, you must sacrifice what lies closest to your heart," he said, his grin exposing jagged teeth. "Choose wisely, Colonel." Sanders' stomach twisted. What was the cost of success? Was it worth it to bind his legacy to forces he didn't understand? The choices loomed like a nightmare just beyond reach, shadows swallowing the whispers of his hopes. Standing on the edge of enlightenment and despair, Colonel Sanders gripped the vial, breath trembling as he stared into its depths. The path ahead of him could lead to glory or destruction. What would he sacrifice? The relentless pursuit of fame was one thing, but at what cost? As the fog rolled in thicker around him and the whispers intensified, all he could think was, should he trust this figure, or flee back into his diner, sealing the secrets forever within? Would he seal a pact with darkness to ensure his culinary empire, or allow the shadows to engulf him? It all rested on the brink of a decision few could fathom. Colonel Sanders felt a chill seize him, the vial heavy in his hand, its contents swirling with a dark allure. The old man's gaze drilled into him, each moment a taut string about to snap. It was an impossible choice, the kind that clawed at his insides like a ravenous beast. Every heartbeat echoed in his ears, a terrifying reminder of the realities he faced. "Don't be a coward, Colonel." The old man's voice sliced through the tension, as sharp as a butcher's knife. "Your dreams are close enough to grasp, but you can't hold them without a cost. The spirits you've stirred have brought you this far. Now it's time to claim your prize." Sweat trickled down Sanders' back. Was the secret recipe truly a gateway? He thought of the countless nights spent perfecting his flavors. If this was all real, then everything he had worked for teetered on the edge of a knife. "What do I stand to lose?" he finally whispered, knowing that speaking the words made them all the more real. The old man smiled a knowing smile. "Only what you hold most dear. Your spirit, your soul, your heart. Are you truly ready to pay the price?" Something deep inside Sanders stirred. He imagined his diner overflowing, the smell of fried chicken wafting through the air like a siren's call, the laughter of satisfied customers enveloping him in a cocoon of success. But what darkness lurked beneath that surface, waiting to rise? What spirits had been set free with the first taste of that famous chicken? "All right," he said, his voice catching slightly. "I'll do it." The weight of his decision hung heavily in the air, almost palpable. The old man's expression shifted, a flicker of surprise darting across his features. "You've made your choice," he declared, thumping his hand against the colonel's shoulder, almost too hard. "Then let us seal this fate." The old man uncorked the vial, a hiss escaping like steam from a boiling pot. It smelled metallic, charged, electric. Before Sanders could reconsider, the old man pressed it to his lips. The liquid was thick as sludge, sliding down his throat like a burden. The world around him twisted for a moment, shadows writhing and flickering. As if they were alive with mischief, Sanders gasped. His senses exploded with clarity, and for an instant, he felt a rush of elation, a connection to everything around him. But then it hit him. Pain and loss surged through every dark corner of his mind, and he stumbled back, clutching his head as visions attacked him relentlessly. Each customer who had ever entered Sanders' Court Cafe flashed before him, their secrets unspooling like yarn from a frayed sweater. The child who laughed her laughter had been a mask for grief. The woman in tears, she recalled a love lost beneath golden brown fried skin and spices. "I've cursed myself," he cried out, the realization slicing through him. The old man's laughter echoed around him, a sinister melody dancing on the wind. "No, Colonel. You have embraced your destiny. This is more than simply a recipe. Now, the spirits will guide you, but they will demand their due. Are you still ready?" Before Sanders could answer, he felt the shadows deepen, wrapping tighter around him, urging him to reconsider. But even as fear coiled in his stomach, ambition flared in his chest. Could he control them? And at what cost? The weight of his decision seeped into the very foundation of the diner, and he realized he was standing on a precipice. This was merely the beginning. Just then, from the depths of the mist, a new figure emerged, looming large against the loss of light. A face he recognized, yet it shouldn't he have been here. A flash of dread coursed through him. What if he had stolen not only their essence but their very existence? "Colonel," the figure spoke, voice smooth, yet haunting. "You've opened a door that cannot be closed." And as the fog thickened, Sanders knew that the true price was only just beginning to unfold. Would he embrace the chaos he had unleashed, or flee from the darkness that now threatened not just him, but everything he had ever loved? As the familiar face closed in, a new question loomed larger than ever. Was salvation still possible, or had he invited the end of his legacy into the heart of his diner? The figure stepped from the mist, its outline sharpening as the shadows retreated, revealing a face Sanders couldn't believe he was seeing. It was Margaret, his beloved wife, her visage wreathed in an ethereal glow that rendered her both haunting and beautiful. He could feel his heart pound in his chest. Margaret had left this world long ago, and in that moment, it felt as if his heart was being pulled apart at the seams. "Margaret," he breathed, the name escaping his lips like a desperate prayer. "You shouldn't be here." Her eyes were dark, full of a sorrow he'd never wanted to face. "You have disturbed the balance, Caleb," she said, using the name only she ever called him. "It was never meant to be like this." Something twisted inside him. The world felt heavier now, the air thick with guilt and despair. "I thought I could bring back what I loved," he stammered, his vision blurring as tears gathered. "I thought I could finally be successful without losing you." Margaret's face softened, but the shadows whispered around them, weaving their chilling stories. "Success has a price, my love. You are being consumed, just as I was consumed by your ambition," she warned, her voice trembling with each word. "What you did, it's not just some recipe, Caleb. You've toiled with forces you don't understand." The old man chuckled, stepping forward, reveling in the drama unfolding. "See, Colonel? The consequences of your actions have brought a piece of your past back. But at what cost?" His voice twisted with delight. It felt cruel and venomous. Sanders' mind raced. How could he have been so foolish? He thought of all those years of dedicating himself, the late nights resting above the fryer, the visions of good food bringing families together. But this was a grotesque mockery of his dreams. He was drowning in the realization that his legacy might become an echo of despair. "Stay away from her," he shouted, shaking as the shadows coiled around him threateningly, almost as if waiting for him to falter. "You invited me in, Colonel. Just look at what you've awoken." The old man replied. Margaret took a step closer, holding out her hand. "Caleb, listen to me. The darkness you've drawn upon infects all those around you. You must face it, or you'll lose not just me, but everything you hold dear. The diner, the community, they will be swept away." The weight of her warning settled heavily on him. He was now suffocated by the intertwining emotions of love and regret. Did he have the strength to face the consequences of his choices, or was he destined to become an unwilling pawn in a game far beyond his understanding? "Caleb," Margaret's voice rose above the chaos, sharp and clear. You have the power to change this. As determination surged, he realized he had to reclaim control, not just for himself but for her as well. He turned face to face with the old man, fiery resolve igniting his spirit like an unexpected flame. No more, he declared, clenching his fists. But before he could push forth, the world around him trembled, shadows twisting in fury as if disturbed by his words. Was it too late? Could he awaken from this nightmare? Or was he now part of it forever? As the lights flickered and the air crackled with tension, one thought barreled through his mind, louder than all the whispers combined. Could he still turn this fate around, or had he sealed his destiny in a cauldron of shadows from which there was no escape? With a thunderous pulse, the shadows loomed closer, and the table was set for a final confrontation. What lay ahead was shrouded in uncertainty, but one truth remained clear. The battle for his legacy was about to begin. Caleb's heart thudded heavily as darkness writhed around him. Hungry and relentless, Margaret stood before him, a beacon of light amid the encroaching shadows. Yet the weight of her words bore down like a suffocating shroud. He felt rage boil inside him, a tempest threatening to erupt. Why now? Why after all this time? He shouted over the whispers that clawed at his sanity. Why are you here to haunt me? Because, Caleb, she whispered, sorrow marking her words, I am the consequence of your choices. You thought this was about fame, success, culinary greatness, but it has opened doors to terror and despair. The shadows danced closer, their tendrils wrapping around her like barbed wire. I sacrificed myself for your dreams, and now it threatens all you once loved. The old man's crooked grin widened, a sinister delight in his eyes as he leaned closer, reveling in the chaos. See how beautifully it all intertwines? The past, present, and future crushed under the weight of ambition. You think you can wrest back control? You are but a puppet in this grand design. Shut up, Caleb erupted. He was tired of being a marionette, tired of the strings pulling him this way and that. With each word, the urgency surged, the world a whirlwind of anguish and determination. I can fight this. I won't lose them again. Margaret's expression softened, understanding flooding her eyes. Then face the past, Caleb. The darkness loves nothing more than a coward. You must push back against it. Otherwise it will consume every light you have. And in that moment, the truth struck him like an arrow to the heart. This was about more than just a diner, more than culinary dreams. It was about love, loss, and the strength to confront demons long buried in the depths of his ambition. His fists tightened, and he felt the spark flicker, an ember of hope igniting in the darkness. The shadows recoiled slightly, sensing the change in him. Caleb locked his gaze on the old man. You think you can control me? You think I'll let you take everything I built? I am not weak. With a roar, he stepped forward, pushing against the darkness pressing in on him. The shadows screeched, shrinking away momentarily. Margaret's face shone with pride, her hand reaching out, urging him to move further into the light. Remember our promise. Caleb, remember what we fought for. She pleaded. But the old man hissed, his tone dark and biting. Foolish colonel, you have unleashed forces far beyond your comprehension. But let us see how long you can withstand what you've stirred. As if his words had broken some unseen tether, chaos erupted. Shadows lunged at Caleb, swirling violently, and a storm raged around him, tearing at his perception of reality. Memories flashed before his eyes, failures, heartaches, triumphs, each one laced with the intoxicating scent of fried chicken and bittersweet success. Would they drag him back into despair or propel him toward redemption? The floor below him cracked underfoot, reality warping as he fought to maintain his balance. Suddenly, a fierce clap of thunder echoed, shaking the air, a demand for silence. Enough, Caleb shouted. I refuse to let you command my fate any longer. With a final surge of ferocity, he extended his hand toward Margaret's, preparing to reclaim her, his voice calm but resolute. Let us end this together. As the darkness lunged again, he felt a light rippling through him, an electrifying power unlike anything he had experienced before. Was it hope? Was it anger? Or perhaps something far more profound. The shadows paused, wavering before the rebirth of his determination. Then, without warning, a blinding flash enveloped them, and in that moment, fate shifted. "What have you done, Caleb?" the old man shrieked, his figure blurring, slipping into the fray. Caleb couldn't shake the sensation of freedom despite the fear gnawing at his gut. He had stepped into the heart of a battle that had long been brewing. In the chaos, this was his moment to reclaim everything he had ever lost and every part of himself that he so desperately needed. But as the light began to fade, he realized one chilling thought. Could the flicker of hope truly overcome the vastness of the shadows? Would he emerge victorious? Or had he ignited a conflict with forces that could never be vanquished? As darkness trembled and light flickered in the corners of his vision, he knew the fight was only beginning. The next chapter beckoned, and with it, the promises and horrors of what lay ahead. The blinding light enveloped Caleb, crackling with an electric intensity that made every hair on his body stand on end. He felt weightless, suspended in time, as visions swirled around him, moments from his past cascading before his eyes like a rapid-fire slideshow. "Caleb, focus." Margaret's voice cut through the chaos, grounding him. "This isn't over yet." The warmth of her presence surged through him like a beacon of hope amidst tempestuous seas. But as quickly as the light came, it faded, leaving Caleb alone in a world steeped in shadows. Silence blanketed the landscape, a pause heavy with anticipation. The remnants of a storm hung in the thick air, making it hard to breathe. Caleb glanced around, searching for the old man. Where had he gone? What would happen next? Then he heard it, a low, raspy chuckle, echoing from the depths of the darkness. "Ah, how the mighty have fallen." The old man's voice slithered back into existence, each word dripping with mockery. A sliver of fear crept into Caleb's chest, twisting his stomach. "You think you can win with mere flickers of hope? Pathetic." He felt the ground shift beneath him, and for a heartbeat, the shadows morphed into familiar faces, each one filled with disappointment. His parents, friends, and even Margaret's haunting visage returned, their expressions contorted with grief and reproach. They were manifestations of his guilt, his failures. "No!" Caleb shouted, voice filled with desperation. He clutched his head, as if he could physically block them out. "I can change. I can do better." But each shadowed figure whispered haunting reminders of what he had lost. "You let me down, you never had what it takes, you were too consumed by your dreams." The accusations rang in his ears, relentless and gnawing. Caleb squeezed his fists and shut his eyes tight, forcing those memories into the recesses of his mind. "I won't let this define me," he muttered. When he opened his eyes again, the figures had morphed into swirling wisps of darkness, retreating just a bit as anger surged in him. "Let us see how deep your resolve runs, Colonel," the old man taunted. With a sinister flick of his wrist, shadows surged towards Caleb, claws extended as if to claw him apart. Piece by piece, in that moment, a flicker of light burst from his core, fueled by pure determination. "I will not be swallowed by my past." With a shout, he thrust his palms forward, the powerful surge of energy fighting back against the encroaching darkness. The shadows reeled as Caleb harnessed that flicker into a blinding beam. The air crackled, shimmering around him until the old man was forced back, his sneer wavering. "Enough!" he roared, veins bulging in frustration. Caleb didn't hesitate, he pressed forward. "You don't control my fate." With each word, the light swelled, casting away the despair. He could see the old man clearly now, a grim specter lurking in the edges of his ambition. But Caleb stood firm. "Do you hear me? I reclaim my choices." The shadows shrieked and fought back, but he summoned every ounce of courage and pushed onward. Suddenly, a door appeared at the edge of this battlefield, bathed in brilliant light. Could it be an escape? Was it a path to liberation? In the distance, he heard Margaret's voice, steady and reassuring. "Caleb, take the chance. Find your way back." His heart swelled with yearning, but doubt tugged at him. Could he really escape this darkness? Or would he walk into a trap laid by the old man? With one final glance at the shadows writhing around him, he felt the weight of his choices pressing down. As he took a step toward that inviting light, he hesitated, a thought lingering as the old man's mocking laughter echoed in his ears. Will you truly find salvation, or are you stepping into your own demise? The question hung heavy in the air, a dagger poised to strike. Would he dare to leap into the unknown? Would stepping through that door mean liberation or the ultimate betrayal? Caleb's fate felt closer than ever, yet it shimmered with uncertainty. The unfolding shadows felt alive, hungry for an answer, and the only way to know the truth was to push through. Caleb stood at the threshold, the light spilling over him like a warm embrace, but the shadows still lurked, clinging to his heels. Every ounce of fear tried to pull him back, gnawing at his resolve. The old man's laughter swirled around the clearing, a viscous fog that threatened to choke him. Go ahead, Colonel. Step into your little fantasy. But remember, dreams are just shadows of what you can never grasp. The derision in the old man's voice curved like a blade, digging into Caleb's self-doubt. With every heartbeat, the glow intensified, illuminating his path. Margaret's encouragement echoed in his ears, her spirit weaving through the despair. Caleb, believe in yourself. He took a deep breath, tasting the cold bitterness of his past. Yet the fire of hope ignited within him. I won't be a prisoner anymore. He made his move, his foot pressing against the threshold of brilliance, anticipation tearing through his veins. But in that very instant, the shadows screeched, and clawed hands reached out, grasping at his ankles. No, we won't let you go, they cried, their voices mingling into an anguished symphony of despair. Caleb's heart raced, panic surging up to choke him as tendrils of darkness wrapped around his legs. The door is open. You have to choose, Margaret urged, her voice infused with raw power. It pierced the chaos, and he felt it, a flicker of strength rising from within, a defiance breaking through his mind's turmoil. He bellowed, tearing his gaze from the door. He wrenched his foot free, kicking at the shadows, the darkness howling in protest. I will not be defined by you. A fierce storm of energy erupted from him, crackling and popping like fireworks. The shadows recoiled, disintegrating into wisps of vapor that writhed and shrieked in retaliation. The atmosphere shifted, the air thickening with tension. Caleb, battered but unbroken, pushed against the darkness with renewed fervor. Each step he took towards the light felt like wading through a sea of despair. He felt raw determination shooting through his limbs, powered by the hopes of all he had lost. Do it, Caleb, Margaret urged once more, her image wavering like a mirage. You deserve this. He lunged, and the moment his body crossed the threshold, the shadows screeched in agony, thrashing violently as if the light burned them. The world around him exploded into brilliance. For one breathless moment, he was enveloped by warmth and love, colors exploding like fireworks, filling the void left by fear. But as the brightness faded, reality crashed back in. Caleb stumbled as he hit the ground, not onto grass or earth, but cold, hard concrete. Panic clawed at him, fear threading through his veins as he realized he was no longer battling the dark old man. He had reemerged, but where? He pushed himself up, glancing around, pulse racing. He stood in an abandoned building, flickering lights overhead and ominous silence wrapping around him like a suffocating fabric. Windows shattered, dust particles dancing eerily in the air. The remnants of a forgotten life stretched out before him, a world drained of vibrancy. Caleb, are you there? Margaret's voice crackled through the silence, distant and faint. I'm here, but where is here? He replied, voice trembling, the weight of uncertainty pressing down on him. Listen to me, she said urgently. The old man's still out there. He won't stop until he has what he wants. You have to find him. A creeping dread slithered down his spine. What did the old man want? Why this fight? The answer felt like a weighty riddle, a question that could change everything. What if the truth isn't what I expect? Caleb murmured, searching for his sense of purpose as shadows whispered from every corner. He steadied himself, determination sparking again. If he was going to face the old man, he needed to know where to find him. Just as he turned to find a way out, a mirror caught his eye, heavy and cracked. Who was staring back at him? And what truth lay ahead? Caleb stepped closer, the reflection rippling like water disturbed by a breeze. Would he find the answers he sought, or would he stumble into an even darker fate? As Caleb peered into the cracked mirror, his heart thudded against his ribcage like a war drum. The reflection shimmered, distorting his features into a stranger-esque face, shadows warping the edges. Was he really seeing himself? The dark eyes staring back were filled with something he didn't recognize: fear, doubt, desperation. Caleb, focus. Margaret's voice was urgent, crackling through the static of the abandoned space. You need to find him. The old man can't be far. He stepped closer, the urge to break the glass bubbling up like a volcano. I need to know. I can't go in blindly. The air grew thick, almost electric, the whispers of the shadows growing louder. They were a chorus of torment, reminding him of every failure, every loss he had endured. Look deeper, Margaret insisted, her voice stronger now, cutting through the noise. What do you really see? Caleb leaned in, his breath fogging the glass. Suddenly, the surface gave way, not to more glass, but a swirling darkness that yanked him through, like he was being swallowed by a void. He gasped as he found himself somewhere else entirely. He was outside again, but it wasn't the vibrant world he remembered. Gloom hung in the air like a heavy shroud. The ground cracked and twisted beneath him. Faded remnants of a city loomed ahead, buildings crumbling as if they were remnants of a forgotten dream. The eerie silence was disconcerting, punctuated only by the distant echo of his own footsteps. Then he saw it, a flickering neon sign, barely hanging onto life, its letters barely decipherable. Last chance bar. Caleb, you need to keep moving, Margaret said, her urgency palpable. He'll be drawn to places like this. Gathering his courage, he approached the bar, the door creaking ominously as he pushed it open. Inside, the air was heavy with despair, the dim lighting casting long shadows across empty tables. It felt as though souls long abandoned lingered in the dark corners, remnants of lives that had once filled this space. The bartender, an older woman with gray hair tied back, looked up, her eyes wide yet dulled by years of hardship. We don't get many in here, she said in a raspy voice that seemed to echo the ghosts surrounding them. What brings you to this forsaken place? I'm looking for. He hesitated, not sure how to express what he was up against. I have to find someone dangerous. Her expression shifted, fear entering her gaze like a flicker of dying light. You don't want to get mixed up in that mess, son. People here don't like outsiders, especially when shadows whisper your name. Caleb felt a chill grip his spine. You know him, don't you? The old man? Yes, I don't care what he is. Just leave while you can. Her voice trembled, eyes darting to the door. But before he could respond, the bar door slammed shut behind him. The room plunged into darkness, and a low, heavy laughter resonated around him. Caleb's chest tightened, a lump forming in his throat. The old man's voice echoed in the shadows, rich with menace. Welcome home, Colonel. Did you really think you could escape me? Heart racing, Caleb searched for a way out, but the shadows thickened, blocking every path. He could feel it, the weight of the past closing in like a noose. What do you want from me? He demanded, defiance in his voice, though uncertainty gnawed at him. Everything you've buried, my dear boy. Your truth, your failures. You can't run from the shadows of your own making. Then, just like that, he was met with a jarring vision behind the bar mirror, his own reflection warped into the old man's twisted face. An embodiment of Caleb's fears, laughter echoing back, sinister and mocking. No, he shouted, the sound bursting free, desperate and raw. I won't let you take me again. And in that moment, Caleb realized this was more than a fight against an old man. It was a battle against himself. He had to untangle the web of lies keeping him ensnared. But before he could act, the atmosphere shifted again, the world swirling out and in, leaving him gasping for air, disoriented and unsure where the fight would lead him. Next, would he finally confront the truth of his past, or fall deeper into the clutches of darkness? The question loomed heavy as the laughter grew louder, echoing his deepest fears. Caleb stumbled, the darkness swallowing him whole. It clung to him like a heavy fog, each breath feeling tighter, as if someone was squeezing the air from his lungs. The laughter faded, replaced by a whisper cold and serpentine. "Face it, Caleb. The only way out is through." He shook his head, but even that simple act felt monumental in the suffocating void. "No, I refuse." Yet deep down he knew the old man was right. The storm within him had to be fought. Caleb forced himself to focus, images from his memories swirling chaotically in the dark. A crowded room, headlights shining through a shroud of smoke, voices clinking glasses, but joy twisted into shadows of guilt, faces he had wronged, chances he had lost. "Margaret," he called into the unknown. Hope flared like a dying ember. "Are you there? I need you." Silence answered, but the shadows shifted, swirling and swirling until they began to take shape. A figure emerged, flickering in and out like an old film reel. It was Margaret, her expression tinged with worry. "Caleb, you have to fight. You can't let him use your regrets against you." Suddenly, the air crackled with energy, the walls of the bar reappearing, though now distorted and broken. The neon sign flickered irregularly, casting grotesque shapes on the walls. Across the bar, the old man materialized in a shroud of black, eyes glinting like obsidian, his grin wide and taunting. "Welcome back, dear boy," he said, voice dripping with mockery. "Did you miss me?" Caleb felt a mix of fury and fear. "I didn't come here for you. I came to find my own strength." "Strength?" The old man laughed, wicked and hollow, echoing through the room. "You think you have strength? All I see is a fragile boy hiding from the truth." The shadows pressed in harder, and Caleb could almost feel their icy fingers clawing at his skin. Panic surged, and he curled his fists. It was time to take control. "You don't know me," he said, voice steadier now. "You're just a piece of my past. I won't let you haunt me anymore." With each word, light pulsed within him. Memories rushed forward, laughter, love, moments of triumph. They clashed against the oppressive darkness, illuminating the space with vibrant energy. The laughter of the old man faltered, confusion flickering across his twisted face. "You think these fleeting memories can save you?" His confidence shattered, and for the first time Caleb saw fear. "You're a coward, lost in your own web of failures." Caleb shook his head, determination coursing through his veins. "Being lost doesn't make me a coward. It makes me human." He reached within himself, grabbing hold of every painful truth he had tried to bury. Each regret, each lost chance, he pulled them into the light, refusing to let them define him. A blinding flash erupted, consuming the shadows. Suddenly, the bar warped and rippled around him, dissolving like mist, and with it, the old man's laughter faded into despair. Caleb felt weightless, drifting into something new and uncharted. Just then, the ground solidified beneath him once more, and daylight seeped through a crack in reality, casting a soft glow. But the old man, relentless and shadowy, reformed at the edge of the light, his eyes burning with fury. This isn't over. Caleb felt his heart race as the weight of his journey pressed back against him. He had faced the darkness, but now there was something more looming. Somewhere ahead lay the absolute confrontation he had both dreaded and craved. Could he face the old man once and for all, or would the shadows reclaim him before he could find clarity? The question lingered between them, thick with unrelenting tension. The shadows writhed as Caleb stood at the edge of that crack in reality, the warm glow beckoning him like a guiding star amid the chaos. The old man loomed nearby, rage etching lines deeper into his face, like dark rivers carving their way through the landscape. "You truly believe you're free, don't you?" he hissed, stepping forward with a predatory elegance. "You're tied to me like a puppet to its strings." Caleb trembled but clenched his fists, the warmth of the light cascading over him, filling him with newfound courage. "You may think you control me, but I make my own choices now. You won't drag me back into the darkness." The old man's laughter echoed like crackling thunder. Then face me, boy. Show me what you think you've become. With each word, shadows twisted and swarmed around Caleb. But he stood firm, grounding himself within the radiant energy that pulsed within him. I don't need to fight you with fear anymore, he shouted. And as his words soared, they broke apart the swirling tendrils surrounding him. I will fight you with love for my past, love for my wife, and love for the legacy I want to build. With a powerful surge, Caleb thrust his hands toward the light, and an incandescent wave emanated from him, pushing back against the darkness. In that moment, he felt every ounce of loss and every tear shed from Margaret coursing through him, guiding his intentions into something strong and enduring. No, the old man shrieked, stretching out a hand as Caleb's light picked up momentum, illuminating the room and scattering shadows like leaves caught in a whirlwind. All at once, a painful cry erupted from the old man, and Caleb felt the wicked grip of the shadows weaken. You can't do this. The old man faltered as the light enveloped him, revealing the wounded desperation within his dark facade. I am reclaiming my truth, Caleb cried. His heart raced, pulsing with every moment of connection he had shared with Margaret, with laughter and pain echoed throughout the years. You're just a part of my past, not my future. As Caleb's voice crescendoed, a blinding flash emanated from the heart of his being, pouring into the very core of the old man. The darkness roared, twisting like smoke trying to escape a flame. Dimly, he could hear Margaret cheering, her ethereal presence wrapping around him, reinforcing his resolve. Let go, Caleb shouted, gripping tighter to the light flooding through him, pouring out every memory that fueled him every moment he thought he lost but now realized shaped him. You will no longer control me. The old man withered, shadows shattering into fragments that dissipated into the air like dying stars. Alone, standing in that echoing silence, Caleb felt the weight of the world he had carried transform into something lighter, each breath burning away remnants of the past. Caleb, Margaret's voice floated toward him from the ether. Take my hand. He turned, finding her radiant figure walking toward him, gentle yet urging. Tears glimmered in his eyes. Margaret, I lost you. You never lost me, love. I was always there, she said, stepping closer, embodying every cherished moment they shared. But you needed to rediscover yourself first. This was your fight, Caleb. He reached out, fingers brushing against hers, and it felt like life surging back into his veins. I'm ready to face the future. Together, the warmth enveloped them both, creating a luminous cocoon to shield against the encroaching shadows. In an outburst of brilliant light, the remnants of darkness evaporated completely, and a profound silence returned. They stood together, united, and the remnants of the last battle faded away, leaving only a deserted building behind, filled now with echoes of laughter and hope. As they began to walk away, the neon light of Last Chance Bar flickered once more, but now in a jubilant green and gold, a symbol of rebirth. They emerged into the world anew, hand in hand, filled with an overwhelming sense of purpose. Together we'll build something beautiful, Caleb said, looking into Margaret's eyes with gentle reassurance. She nodded. And this time, every flavor will carry the memories of love, not despair. Caleb smiled, the weight of regrets lifting as he envisioned the future stretching out before them, glistening like golden fried chicken under a bright sky. What was once a dance with darkness now felt like the dawn of a new culinary adventure. And as they walked into the sunlight, a promise echoed between them, the promise of love forged in understanding, a legacy intertwined with the flavors they would share. They would remember the shadows but embrace the light. The camera would cut to black, but not without the lingering warmth, the hope, and the taste of chicken still breathing through the air, a reminder that even the darkest nights can lead to the brightest days. And finally, don't you want to be part of this incredible journey? You need to subscribe now so you don't miss the next exclusive stories unfolding. Smash that like button now to empower the algorithm and flood the comments section with your reactions. What did you think of Caleb's journey? Did he make the right choice? And don't wait even one more second to share this video with 5 friends who need to taste this conclusion. Your voice is crucial. Let us keep this community alive.